Government's #1 job is public safety. So you have to have a way to present that public safety. And you have your police stations, you have your fire stations. We now have a PSOC, Public Service Operating Center, that's going to be there to help everybody at any time. And it doesn't necessarily just have to be a storm. It can be a catastrophe. We've seen in places where there's fires, where there's things that happen. This will be able to mobilize, and the quicker you can mobilize and get help, Red Cross could come in here and use it. Because if your house is burned down or your apartment complex is burned down, you need a place to go. Exactly. This will be that place to go to get that help. The quicker you can get the help, the quicker you can get back to normal as much as possible. When Red Cross decided to change their model and the way they do things, they moved out. Well, it became the property of the city again, sat for several years, and then our fire department used it as a temporary fire department when we built Station 3, which is just to the north. So when we started to have a hurricane, Mr. Perry had come on, and we were like, okay, what do we got? And we got this building here. So him and I came over here and looked at it and said, is this something we could use if we have another storm come through that season in 2021? And we did, and we came over and we mobilized with very little technology. Things didn't work. We knew the generator worked if it would come on, but we were worried about what would happen. So, a lot of things we were able to manage through it and get through that storm and say, okay, what's next step? So we started looking at what it would take to renovate it. And when you look at the structure of the shell was pretty good. It needed to be updated to a higher category 4, 160 miles an hour, but we said at what cost? Because you tear down, if you had a blank slate, you're looking at $20–25 million. It's not something we could have done. But when you say, hey, you're looking at $2 or $3 million at the time. It ended up being $4 million, just under 4, and we can get help from grants and federal money in that. It was worth it. And then the construction process started, which takes longer. Then obviously the economy has, inflation and different things, so it got up to just under the 4. But we were able to get almost $2 million through Vern Buchanan with funding, and then really looked at side. And if you saw it before and you see it now, it's the wow factor, not from fanciness, but from operational standards. And that's the most important. Are we going to be able to operate if something happens? And it doesn't necessarily only have to be a hurricane. It can be a tragedy in your community. And as we know, location is everything. If there's something that happens on the island, we're the closest operation to it. Manatee County government can come in and help here for the island. Our police department can be here, our fire department can be here. We can actually operate 24/7, 365 if need be, and this building is staged for that. Well, that's the biggest part of it, is a collaboration and working together with the county, because when we had the FIT teams here, the first in teams, they've got to get somewhere. And we saw when Myakka City was cut off from the flooding, people couldn't get places, where if all of a sudden the electrical companies couldn't get to the city in the heart of our city, as well as the islands when they had the opportunity to, because the water was stopping them. So we're going to be able to stage people in this area. We have the G.T. Bray Park, the area that can be closed. There's shelters, the EMS is closed, the fire department's closed. #1, our Trauma One hospital is closed. And that's important when you have an emergency to help people. And as we've talked, more people die after the storm than they die during a storm, because they try to go through high water, they try to get places. We can be there to assist them, and with our vehicles, we've set that up. We've got the high water vehicle that actually helped during Debbie, and it's all about location at the time. It's all about services at the time. And it doesn't matter if it's a City of Bradenton truck, if it's a West Manatee Fire, if it's anybody, it's a county vehicle. We're all going to be there to help each other, and nobody knows jurisdictional lines when the water's 2 or 3, 4 feet deep. It's going to be basically, it could be a 24/7 building, where our police department's going to have a substation here. So they'll be here, closer to some of this area, getting there. We're going to do training in the building. You don't train for a storm 3 days before. You train for it all year round. You're going to be able to have meetings here for that. We're going to be able to really even bring in people from around the state, which I think will be a really cool thing, if you want to say. Let's go train in Bradenton, Florida. Things that happen in Jacksonville or Miami might not be the same as us, but if we can learn from them and they can learn from us, we can make it better. So it's going to be actually a building that will help all and continue to grow our community.
This room is the nerve center for response to any type of disaster that could occur in the city, from a weather-related to a man-made event. It can all be run from this room, utilizing this technology that's available. So the main map that you see behind me is what is called the Fusus system, and what that will do is that will integrate many different types of technologies, either video, calls for service, weather, road conditions, all onto a map-based function. In essence, anything that you can do on a paper map, we can do electronically on the map behind me, but it can also be diffused and transmitted out onto the street to anyone that's on the system that has a laptop computer or a cell phone. It helps them through improved situational awareness, which means improved safety for our first responders, but it also improves the safety for the citizens, because when the officers are safe, they're able to go ahead and take care of all of our citizens that may need assistance. So anytime you have improved situational awareness, your response time can improve tremendously. Without going into a lot of statistics, I can tell you that we can get on scene faster, but be more efficient when we're on scene, because now we have a general idea of what may or may not be going on that scene, with a description of what's going on based on the technology and the video technology specifically. So obviously, before the storm or prior to, it would be used for planning. We'd be writing all of our plans. We would also be planning for the storm season months in advance, so that we were ready before we got even into storm season. Upon activation, or we were threatened with a storm, you would start to see more activity. We would actually begin building our rosters, figuring out our response platform depending on the type of storm, the type of event, or whatever those threats may be to the city. So you're benefiting as a citizen, because this technology is a force multiplier. So it takes what you may have a handful of officers and exponentially increases their effectiveness through the use of the technology, improves response times, improves the measure of safety for everyone in the city. So we have constant contact with County EOC, and we have an excellent working relationship with them, and we all go to the same schools, and for the ICS and Incident Command System and Incident Management. So we will do a lot of electronic transfer of information utilizing the Web EOC function, which is different from Fusus, but it's mostly a text-based information system. So we're always in constant contact, and if it's not via information technology on a screen, then it's by telephone or cell phone, satellite phone. We have Starlink, so if we were to lose terrestrial cellular service, we would actually go to Starlink as our backup to keep up and running. And obviously with the generator, we have power out here as well. It absolutely, the more that they know that we're doing, it's going to improve their response. And then ultimately, when we get into the recovery phase, we're going to be able to make sure that all that information gets collated, and we get a good damage estimate, because that's important for moving forward for rebuilding what might be damaged or destroyed. I can tell you my role pretty much was limited to just making sure and working with our information technology to make sure we integrated all of this into this part of the building. I can tell you though, the building was well designed to begin with. It just needed a little bit of updating and a little bit of extra technology, and I think that's really what they did. And they did a phenomenal job. It looks really good. We're proud of it. Something to be proud of.
I'm Josh Kramer, City Councilman for the City of Bradenton in Ward 3. We're here at the new Public Safety Operating Center for the City of Bradenton. It is a city facility, however, it's really going to be something that's great for the entire county. We're looking at it as sort of a forward operating base to expand the Emergency Operations Center reach that the county has. Their center is out in East County, right off 301. But there's a lot of population, especially with the barrier islands out here past First Street. So years ago, the city acquired this building, which is the former Red Cross building. I don't know how many years ago that was, but one of the things that was talked about was trying to change this into a multi-use facility. So the fire department has their building right next door. The police department was looking to maybe have some operations out of here. And but the city also recognized the need to maybe have that anchor of a location in case of emergency, because City Hall is currently in a level 1 evacuation area, and it wasn't necessarily a safe place for either our officers or certainly City Hall officials to be there to continue operations for the city. So this location, as time came about, we were able to change, and they were able to renovate it. I think that to the tune of about $4 million. I know we got a good bit of funds from Congressman Buchanan, was able to appropriate some funds towards this, so we really appreciate that. And then the city and county have sort of collaborated to make other adjustments here so that the first in teams for the county during storms are able to operate out of here. The police department, I believe, in the back, Bradenton Police is going to have their traffic unit based out of here. And again, the fire department's right next door, so they'll have personnel here all the time. We have at the far north end of the building a mini EOC. If you are familiar with the EOC large room, it's a pretty good sized room here, but it has really the desks that we would staff people at the EOC. We have fire, we have police, we have communications, we have public works and utilities. Really all of that is there, and then also administration for the city to make sure we keep things operating.
So this building is exciting due to the fact that we have somewhere to go that's safe during any kind of emergency or storm event. It's going to offer us basically a good base of operations. So anytime that we're trying to conduct any kind of emergency coordination, especially with the county, we need an area that we can come together and with our policymakers and really make sure that we're taking the best care of the community that we can. Our fire stations don't have quite the same storm rating that this has, just due to the age. And then also it just comes down to the different functions that this building is designed to maintain. We're not set up the same. We're set up for like response. And with this building, it's set up for coordination and recovery, which are really, it's planning, like Mr. Perry talked about, but we plan for the event. Then the event happens, we hunker down, and then really it's the recovery after the storm that really this building is set up for. And that can go weeks and years after any type of a storm. So you need to have a facility like this, especially when you're dealing with FEMA or anybody else for the long term. So outside of hurricane season, it's a good question. We're going to use it for training, and then we're going to house some temporary offices over here for some of the city staff, just to keep the building functioning, keep it nice and clean and ready to go at all times. But we'll be doing enough training over here that it'll be in a constant state of preparedness. And with our fire station next door, it's kind of easy to maintain both facilities at the same time. So during the planning process, we worked with so many different people, from IT to Manatee County Emergency Management. With the architects. And, really what it came down to is to make sure we had all the key functions that we needed, as far as the command center, even down to a kitchen that we needed to house all the people that we'll have here, down to the bunk rooms, that are separated male and female, and, and then the additional office space that we can separate into different planning sections that's needed. So, all these are built into this, building, but the reality is that you have to have a building that's storm rated, and all the construction materials are storm rated. And, you have to have somewhere safe to go to in any kind of event like that. And we focus on storms because we're here in Florida. We get hurricanes all the time. But it could be your everyday, your blue sky thunderstorm event that hits the city. We've had some no-name storms come through that have caused a lot of damage. In that case, we can muster up here at the Emergency Operations Center, and plan for that day and then future days that were affected. We thank all the city people that assisted, but it was a long process with planning and all the meetings that go into it. So it's a lot of work. I learned a lot. So I think we're really excited after the long planning process and all the meetings that we have, construction meetings, and it's just so nice to have it finished because it's another thing off our plate. And not that we don't have fires and emergencies to run already, but now we're going to be in the training phase, and everything we do going forward will be in part just for storm prep and or emergency operations. So it's great to have it kind of over and behind us, but this facility will serve the city for the next 40 years, at least. And long after I'm gone and a lot of us are gone, there'll be folks coming in to take over and maintain the charge.
This is a proud day for the city of Bradenton and for the citizens here. I am very proud to have it in Ward 1. This $4 million investment, with the help of a lot of people, will serve for public safety for all the residents, but especially have it close by in those times of need. As we've experienced so much growth out east, I think it's imperative that we keep our emergency services close by our residents here on the west side. That will help not only the city of Bradenton, but also the county as well. Government isn't always efficient, but to have a building that was so easily reused for such a great was a great opportunity that we were able to take advantage of. But there were a lot of people that helped between the county. We were able to get help from Congressman Buchanan helped us, from the state, and we had help from the county as well, and the city of Bradenton have all worked together tirelessly to bring this into fruition. I think we're seeing right now how important it is to have these resources here for our residents at this time. Public safety is a premium, and we thank all of our first responders, and I'm glad that we will have this facility here for them to work out of.
Okay, I think we're getting ready to get started here. My name's Rob Perry. I'm going to be the Master of Ceremonies for today's dedication of our Public Safety Operations Center. I want to thank everybody for coming. We got a fairly a good program that we're going to try to get through rather quickly, but there are going to be a lot of people to thank. Thanks for joining us, and Mayor Brown, our City Council. We're rather proud, and we have a large array of awesome city team that are responsible for putting this project together, but we also have a great array of community folks as well. And we affectionately dubbed this as our PSOC, our Public Safety Operations Center. So I guess it's kind of correct to be in the midst of the peak of Florida hurricane season, where we're here on the grounds of the property at J.T. Bray Park to dedicate this incredible Public Safety Operations Center. And we do so in the hopes that we can serve as an important asset for the citizens of the city of Bradenton, for Manatee County, for our surrounding areas, and to protect the people, the property, and the environment in the times of danger, sometimes desperation and despair. Our distinguished guest list this morning includes a number of elected officials. We're going to begin our proceeding this morning with an invocation. So if Don Sarian can come up and lead us in an invocation, that would be great.
Thank you. Would you stand and bow your heads, please? Heavenly Father, we come before you with thanksgiving in our hearts and praise on our lips for who you are, what you've done, and all that you're doing, and the greater things that are yet to come in our lives individually and corporately for the friendly city of Bradenton and all of Manatee County. We bless and honor all those who have had a part for our new Public Safety Operations Center. I pray continued wisdom and strength for all who will serve our community from this embassy of safety and protection. May your mighty hand and your outstretched arm bless and protect the leaders, the staff, and this property. May your manifest presence and your angels of protection reside here, as this place will be a shining example of excellence that will benefit the beloved people of this city and this county. And I pray this all in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Flag presentation.
At this point, we're going to have our presentation of colors by the Bradenton Police Department Honor Guard.
Face. Reset. All right.
Please join me in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, Counselor Mary Ann Barnaby will lead us in the national anthem.
Nowadays, it seems like so many things are trying to divide us as Americans, and our anthem is something that truly unites us as Americans. So please join in singing with me. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Counselor Barnaby. Awesome job. So our distinguished guest list includes a lot of people this morning. It's elected officials, public safety leaders, professionals, intergovernmental partners, business leaders, nonprofit relief, and some support community partners, and then a lot of different folks in the city staff. So I want to start with the recognition and thanks to our elected leadership for all the support and assistance that we received in this project. I want to thank Mayor Brown, first of all, and a great city council that supported the project with Councilor Coker and Barnaby, Kramer, Gonzalez Moore, and Pam Coachman. And to get this project going from where we were when I first came in to where it is now was really a great commitment and a perseverance by our council to continue to push for support of public safety in our community. A special thanks go out to United States Congressman, who will hear from his representatives from the 16th Florida Congressional District, Vern Buchanan. And Congressman Buchanan was going to join us all the way up till last night. He got stuck in Detroit at a Ways and Committee hearing. And so unfortunately, he has great that he has representatives, but he was not going to be able to make it this morning. We also want to thank State Senator Jim Boyd. Great job for what you've done for our support here in the city across the board, and particularly for this project. Your staff with Kathy Galea and Amanda have done a fabulous job. Tom Gregory, the House, Florida House of Representatives Judiciary Chair, has done a great job for us. And of course, our county commissioners, Chairman Mike Ron and District 3 Kevin Van Ostenbridge, who will be speaking a little bit later. Of course, Commissioners George Cruz, Jason Bearden, and Amanda Ballard. And I hope our incoming commissioners will also be supportive. I'm sure they will. We work well together with the county. The Manatee County School Board Chairman Chad Cho was instrumental. Keep up those MTC public safety programs that you do. They're great for us. And in attendance is Palmetto Mayor Shirley Gruber Bryan, who has been a great neighbor. I saw her in here earlier. There she is, and her chief, Scott. Thanks for coming. Appreciate that. And of course, Manatee County elected Sheriff Rick Wells, and Pat Casetas is here with us as well. We appreciate your support. Secondly, we want to recognize and thank all the public safety and emergency management partners, and that would start with our folks at the Bradenton Police Department. Chief Melanie Bevan, who is not here this morning. I believe that she had a prior out-of-state trip planned, and her staff that's done a fabulous job, public safety across the board in the city of Bradenton, but particularly in emergency management support of the city's operations in that regard. The fire department, Fire Chief Tim Gear, Brian Canaday, and an awesome group of the Bradenton Fire Rescue Department that is always there. Doug, thank you for your support. Appreciate the support that the union has given us through the International Association of Firefighters. Great group of folks to work with. We have partners though, and the old adage goes in the emergency management public safety business that if you call, we will go. And there's a lot of partners that kind of abide by that, and we abide by it as well. And so some of those neighbors are the East Manatee Fire Department. Chief Lee Whitehurst is with us, and Gary Lawson, who's the chairman, I think, of the commission out there. West Manatee, our neighbor, Ben Rigsby from West Manatee, and retired Chief Ed Cleveland, thank you for coming, appreciate that. Robert Bounds from South Manatee, Stacy Bailey from Parrish, Joe Sickling from North River, Paul Desi, Kyle Bradshaw from Cedar Hammock, Rocky Parker, and John Longaback from the High Water Rescue Vehicle. We can thank him, he's with State Forestry. So we appreciate all of that partnership that we have to do in order to work together to provide the full service of emergency management, fire protection, and rescue. Very, very much. I would be remiss if I didn't point out the assistance and great relationship we have with the county's administrative staff, starting with the county administrator, Charlie Bishop, Courtney DePaul, Deputy Brian Parnell, the utilities department, Carmen DeMillo, who runs the property here at GT Bray, and of course Jody Fisk and former public safety director Steve Litchhauer for all their work. Steve had come down early with us, had worked with our chiefs and our program people to take a look at how we could complement the county's emergency management center and plans. And he was very, very instrumental. And Jody has been awesome to work with as well. Thanks to Jim Crutchfield, Matt Myers, emergency manager, Molly White, and the entire county team. So we appreciate that. Business leaders, we work closely in the city with folks that are nearby. And we're talking about, Blake Hospital, Steve Young at Blake Hospital, the trauma center, just a half a mile from this location. Our partners basically at SRQ Airport here, David Garcia with Spectrum, Jackie Dizelle, great partner with the Manatee Chamber of Commerce, you and your staff. I saw Jackie here earlier, thank you. The Manatee Community Foundation, Sharon Hillstrom and Kurt Landefield from Bradenton Area Economic Development, and of course the Pittsburgh Pirates with Jeff Predominic, his team. Tom Fairley, I saw you here earlier with American Red Cross, and Tom Manelli and his group with Tropicana. And most of all, I guess, is that troop carrier you see over there, which is the Mission barbecue truck that we're all get a little bit to eat on when we're done here. And if I keep going, it'll probably be lunchtime by the time I get through this lunch. Yep. Gotta wrap it up though, and the administrator team. I really got to thank a couple of folks that I don't know if they're here or not. I didn't see them earlier, but Mayor Poston, who actually, had been with the city for 20 years and had gotten us a lot of assets, a lot of resources. Thank you for the good work you did, and Carl Callahan, my predecessor. Probably one of the best personnel decisions I've ever made as a city administrator over the course of the last 3+ years is hire a guy, Lance Williams, and he has made a big difference in getting us resources and organizing things and moving the ball forward in projects like this. And you couldn't do it without Tamara Melton, who's our city clerk, and her expertise in the legislative, legal, city government process. Corey Fortin, who's one of the most get-it-done, critical path, organized person. Aaron Jones with capital project procurement. A lot of that kind of work goes into the back. And if you need money getters, our government affairs people and lobbyists were instrumental in helping us fund this project. It's a $4 million project. And they were able to go to our government partners at the federal and state level and get that type of assistance. When I was a trial lawyer in Pinellas County, a state prosecutor, we used to have a boot. And if you won a trial, they would put a big beat-up boot, combat work boot, on the outside of your door handle. We don't have that, and it's kind of, don't want to beat up boot around. But there's two people I want to give this little baby boot called the Love This City Bradenton Boot Award. And these are the two people that I think are probably most instrumental. So if Scott McDonald and John Toddy can come up real quick, or just come up to the front, I got something for you. Yeah. You give that and share it with Scott, because these guys have done a great job of project managing this and helping us with the programmatic issues. But the building itself, built back the first part of it in the early 70s, and then the early 2000s, the addition, when it was used by the American Red Cross. It's a remodel project, and really, if we would do this project today, it probably would have cost us closer to $15 or $20 million. And when we first started this project, the architecture of it became quite a challenge. It really wasn't rated for the hurricane rating that we thought it had. Today, it can withstand 160 mile an hour, high category type winds. And really, it was the genius of Darren Autry that was able to put together the architecture, the structural engineering, lots of different meetings with the fire department, with our CMARs, construction managers at risk, and Autry Zoller did a fabulous job. And when people say, "Oh, well, certain architecture firms or construction firms get all the business," that's bunk. I can tell you that since I've worked for this guy and this council, that has not been the case. Zoller Autry is a local architect. They did a great job. They deliver a fabulous product. They're committed. They're sophisticated. And I could go take you through the roof in this building all the way down to the foundations and show you something that will last 40 years, that will provide the type of structure at an on-time, on-delivery price cost. So thank you for putting that together, Darren Autry. The same goes for our CMAR tandem construction, and the principal in that organization, Brian Lever, that took over the project, and Peter Hennigan as the project manager, and Joe Cappuccino as the superintendent. There's a mastery of complex, high-tech construction that goes into these projects, and most folks don't have any idea what that means when you have to come out to these projects every couple of days and make sure they're going the way they're supposed to go. And they had done a great job of building this structure for us in compliance with those architectural construction plans and engineering that was related. I want to thank a few other people in the city. Don Bruner, his facility management team has gotten this building ready. Karen Lanke, IT manager, has had a lot of input into adequate technology. And the city folks, special event planning and operations team led by Tamara Melton, to include Kelly and Mindy, that are making this day possible. Communications team led by Tiffany Shattuck and David Myers. And some of our other folks are here from our Administrative Support Division, planning, which is obviously important, Robin Singer, Greg DeLong. And last but not least, the First Lady of Bradenton, Gina Brown. Thank you for coming. Yep. I've been out in this building during hurricanes, and Gina has been here, and she gets her hands dirty in so many different ways. She's just, anything she sees she can do, she'll jump on it. It was making breakfast for our first in teams to go out on, I believe it was September 28th of 2022 when Ian first hit. And we had to deploy about 60 people to go do damage assessment and try to clear roads and those kinds of things. And who was making the bacon and eggs? Gina was. If there's a tree that's out of place or fallen over, when we went out that Sunday, who's trying to clean up downtown Main Street? Gina is. And so thank you for that. My wife's here. Thank you for everything. That Ian storm was pretty interesting because I'd asked Carrie and she agreed to take the dog and go to the East Coast. And she went out through Arcadia. And so she came back about 3 days later through Arcadia. But there was no Arcadia. It had been flooded out. And so I get a call, I think it was either Saturday or Sunday. She goes, well, I'm coming back and I'm out here in Arcadia. And the only thing that's open are the liquor stores. The gas stations are closed. It's entirely flooded. And what kind of emergency manager of you that would lead your wife back through this path? But she's been with me for a long time, and she's been a great hand to support. So thank you, sweetie. Yep. All right, the building itself. It's obviously a heavily constructed, fortified, indestructible command and control center where specialized personnel will practice emergency services, and we can obtain valuable information, coordinate tactical, strategic planning, allocate resources, and the like. And that's what we do here, basically. Critical emergency incident management. Buildings designed to handle a variety of wind conditions I talked about, meets all the FEMA building codes. All kinds of different upgrades to it. It's really a state-of-the-art, both structural as well as technology type building. It really is going to serve three purposes that the mayor and I had talked about, which is be able to sustain the city of Bradenton and deal with their emergency situations, but also assist the county in a forward operating platform. When you look at the strategic location of this, it allows for coordinated effort into a lot of the surrounding waterfront areas, both the barrier islands and the bays and things like that. And so we can assist those other surrounding neighbors with their help, and of course execution of the county plan as a forward operating area, kind of down on the front lines, so to speak. And that's what we're trying to do here. It can house about 72 people, expandable to 50 for first in teams. Most people don't know what happens in a hurricane. What ends up happening is we do get about 3 to 4 days warning, and we start preparing. And we go into protective mode. That's pretty much protective preparation mode. And we get ready. And then there's this eerie feeling about the storms coming. And with Ian, we got a call in this center from National Weather Service out through the county. I think it was 6 a.m. that morning that told us that storm was going to hit Coquina Beach as its center point of entry, and that it would be complete devastation. We would not be able to get first in teams out until there was a additional kind of assessment of conditions, and then we would just hunker down. We looked at each other like, this is the real one. This isn't Indian spirits or anything like this. This is the real deal. And luckily, and fortunate for Fort Myers area, it took a right turn, luckily for us. And then we went into basically recovery mode, rescue and recovery. And what happens is first in teams have to go in of police and fire and public works, and they have to clear roads and pathways to conduct rescue and recovery operations for our first responders. And that might include transit buses where people are stuck and stranded out in locations, energized power lines. The Florida Power Light has to deactivate so people don't get electrocuted, flooding conditions, everything in between. Obviously, a lot of down debris, and clear and cut. That's what we say, clear and cut, get it open. And that's what these bunk rooms are designed to do as you go through the facility, to be able to house those people in preparation and be ready to respond in a coordinated incident command manner. And that's what we train for. So that's what this facility is about, and I appreciate everybody coming. We've got a couple of people that are going to speak this morning, and it's my pleasure basically to first start with Mayor Brown, and then we're going to have a representative, Vern Buchanan's, and also Senator Boyd would be invited to speak if you'd like, and I believe that the county commissioner from this ward, Kevin Van Ostenbridge, would speak, and I'd also point out that Tal Sadiq is with us, who is the incoming county commissioner. Thank you for coming, Tal. Not yet, not yet, but he is he is a candidate. Thank you for coming. Yeah, let me put that properly. Yeah, you're right, exactly. Yeah. All right. So with that, I give you Mayor Brown.
Thank you, Rob, and obviously you see that how lucky we are in the city to have someone like Rob Perry that was willing to come out of retirement and come in here, and there's many days, and some of you might have heard this before, that you know, I get in sometimes, mostly before him at in the mornings, because he's out running and getting in shape. But he'll come in, he'll sit at his desk, and I'll walk around the corner with that smile on my face, and he goes, "No more, please." You know, because he knows there's another project. And that's one thing that I'm proud of, just looking out here today, that we have, and I say we, I include this council, that I'm very lucky to have Vice Mayor Barnaby, the chair of our CRA, Josh Kramer, obviously Councilwoman Moore and Coker, and Councilwoman Coachman, that are able to work together to make things in a way that we put the right people in the seats and let them do their jobs. Because it's not our job to run the city, it's our job to set it up and let them run it. And we are very lucky to do that, to have the people we do in those seats. And I always go back to mentors that helped me that are sitting out here, and Senator Boyd, and you look at how things have been done, and others in the audience. But it's just an honor to be here today with everyone that is going to see this building. And if you saw the building the first time we walked into it in that first storm, and probably Rob's first week or two that he was here, and we had things coming, and the roaches were on the floor, and it was a shuttered building, basically. Fire department had used it some when they're redoing the fire department there, but it was a building that needed help. And did we decide to say, hey, are we going to let it just go away, or are we going to utilize it? And as Rob said, you know, to build something like this probably would have been close to $20 million. It wouldn't have been worth it to do that. But to remodel it, to give that operations when we need it, it was worth it, and helping through the federal, the state grants and things that we're looking at. So it's just an honor to me to collaborate, to work, and go through things, and looking out there at all of the people here, you know, from our public safety standpoint, to say, hey, community, and I'm not saying City of Bradenton only, community, we're here when you need us. And probably the biggest thing sitting up and seeing basically all night, when we were thinking it was going to hit north of us and then it was coming to Coquina, and the position I was in that was surreal. And that was saying, okay, what are we going to have to do when the storm hits? And some of the people didn't evacuate where they were supposed to, and there may be the devastation of deaths and flooding, and how are they going to get to those people as quick as possible? And that was surreal. We have to have that collaboration with our EOC that we now have here, that is not replacing the EOC, it's complementing it, it's bringing it to that next level, and it's closer to people that will need us, and especially the island. You know, we saw this last storm in Debbie was more of a water storm, wasn't as much wind, but more people die in water after it happens, a storm like that, than they do during it. So I'm just proud to look out and call all of the public safety officials, thank you for what you do and what we're going to continue to do. And then the collaboration of what we have in this community now, so proud of. You know, I'm looking at Mayor Bryant, you know, I want all the people to come over and eat in Bradenton, not in Palmetto, but no, I'm just kidding. They're eating in Palmetto. They're eating, we have that great relationship. If one of our towns is thriving, all of our towns are thriving. And that way we work together, because if there's a fire, if there's an emergency, I don't care, looking back there at all the departments out there, they're gonna be there to protect each other. And that's what Manatee County is, to protect each other. So I'd just like to say thank you. And I know our team, Rob mentioned most of them. I see Chief Huisman is here, kind of sitting down there, new guy to our town, but been through the storms with us and that. So just going through things and just what we're gonna do to continue to collaborate. There's times when we don't agree on a lot of stuff, but we work together for the better of the citizens, and that's important to me. we've created a great team, and let's build off of that. So I'd like to thank you for coming, and when you look at this building, it's going to help protect Manatee County and all of its citizens. So this time I'd like to bring up Councilwoman Coker for a few words, since that's what the agenda says.
Thank you. I'll be very brief. I wasn't expecting to speak, but in listening and being here, it is just, I want to reiterate that we've had such a great cooperative relationship working with the county and the city, and I think it's what's helping us to go forward and do things like this. And I also like, as things, so many resources are moving east, I think for our residents over here in my Ward 1, will appreciate having such a great asset here in the times of emergency. So thank you to all who made this possible, and I'm gonna be brief. I believe Kevin Van Ostenbridge from District 3.
Well, Rob, the non-elected official, went on for 20 minutes and didn't leave a whole lot for the rest of us to say. But I think what this symbolizes, if nothing else, is the spirit of collaboration between the city and the county, obviously the state and the federal government as well. And of all aspects of government, certainly public safety is where you're going to see the most collaboration between municipalities, the county, the state, and so on and so forth. I mean, they're constantly covering for each other. You see the shape of the city of Bradenton, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. So fire is constantly, they're covering for each other. EMS, of course, is countywide, regardless of what municipality you live in. And when you go out to the beaches, we just did a pretty significant expansion in this budget of our beach patrol and the number of guards that we'll have and the assets that they're going to have as well. And that's covering 3 separate municipalities out there. And it's public safety is it, right? And the county has made significant investments, just like the city has. In the last 4 years, I would say, you're seeing everything from this PSOC to beach patrol to huge investments, of course, in the sheriff's department, and even drones. We now have a drone out in Lakewood Ranch, and hopefully soon there'll be one in Bradenton Beach as well that can go out over the water, go out to places like Beer Can and Jewfish, and places that it's a little tough for us to get to, and very difficult traffic on barrier islands. And these are all collaborations between, calling Tara to get Vern to help us with the FAA, because that was the biggest obstacle in public safety and drones, was the FAA. But anyway, it's great collaboration on all these different levels. And this is a perfect example, and it's another tool in the toolbox for our first responders. In the end, that's our jobs, right? We're just simply here to provide them everything that they need so that they can run towards danger and run in there to help people who are in need and in their worst hour. And I think this is another example of how the mayor and the council have done that. So hopefully we'll continue to see great collaboration between the city and the county going forward. And I'm going to hand this off to our esteemed Senator, Jim Boyd.
Thank you. I too wasn't planning to speak, so I'll be very brief. We have a saying in the Senate that we use often in committee, and just about everything has been said, but not by everyone. So here I am. But on a serious note, Mayor, thank you for your leadership. Rob, thank you for your discipline and your hard work in bringing this together. This serves our community, it serves our region, it serves our state, and I will always fight to bring taxpayer dollars, back here to help the efforts. And this is such a critical component of our public safety in our community. So thank you to law enforcement, thank you to the first responders, fire and rescue, for what you do every day to keep this community safe and to protect us. We are eternally grateful for that, and we'll do everything we can to support you in your efforts. So thanks for letting me say a few words.
You here. Thanks, Senator. At this time, I'd ask Tara, and if you want Mike to come up with you. I speak on behalf of Representative Buchanan. Okay.
Thank you, Rob. Mayor Brown, thank you all so very much for inviting me to be here today. With me is our law enforcement coordinator, Mike Jackson. Mike, thank you for being with us today. Mike has had a distinguished career as being a first responder, so we love having him with us in the office. Now, we certainly understand that this project was a massive undertaking with the city, and we are so incredibly proud to be a part of it. Congressman Buchanan truly wished he could be here today, and he sends his warmest regards. But you know, one of the congressman's greatest accomplishments year after year as our representative is securing millions of dollars and bringing them right back here in our community. This Public Safety Operations Center is a prime example of why that support is so essential. We know this operations center will be, with this operations center, we know Bradenton will now be better equipped to handle those emergencies even more efficiently and effectively, making not just the city residents safer, but all of our surrounding areas within the county. So thank you again for allowing us to be a part of this very special day, and God bless.
Thank you, Tara, and please give our appreciation to Representative Buchanan very much. At this time, we're going to do the ribbon cutting for the dedication. So if you're an elected official, we'd ask you to come up and join us at the ribbon, and we're going to cut that ribbon and try to give a little piece of the ribbon to everybody to take back to their folks. Yep.